Hello and welcome to the Pyramid Plus Center webinar on communicating with families about their child's challenging behavior. My name is Johanna Berry-Wasser and I'm the Training and Technical Assistance Coordinator for the Pyramid Plus Center and will be guiding you through today's web-based training. Please note that there are handouts on the website that you can use for additional resources. Pyramid Plus Center would like to take a moment to thank the funders for making this webinar and other efforts possible. The learning objectives for the webinar are that participants will receive strategies on how to establish a foundational relationship with families. Also, participants will learn how to approach families on addressing their child's challenging behaviors observed in the child care or school setting. Here is the pyramid model graphic. It represents the supports that are needed for providing children with healthy social-emotional competence and addressing challenging behavior. Beginning with the foundation of the pyramid, the yellow section of the pyramid is the effective workforce. This means that professionals working with young children are supported by administrators as well as policies to ensure that systems are in place to sustain the use of evidence-based practices. The first tier, the blue section of the pyramid, addresses universal strategies. This includes nurturing and responsive relationships and high-quality supportive environments. This means that in order to help reduce challenging behavior, these two practices need to be in place for all children and their families. The second tier, the green section of the pyramid, involves targeted social-emotional supports, which means that some to most children will need intentional teaching around social skills that promote friendship, emotional literacy, impulse control, and conflict resolution skills to prevent challenging behavior. The third tier, the red section of the pyramid, involves intensive interventions, which includes behavior data collection and the development of individualized behavior support plans created by a team, which includes the family. The topic of communicating with families about their child's challenging behavior targets all three levels of the pyramid, including the foundation of the effective workforce. Teachers and child care providers need to have time and systems in place to communicate with families who are enrolled in their program. It is also important to establish a trusting and supportive environment with families from the beginning. Involving families in the teaching curriculum and their child's goals help get everyone on the same page. And when a challenging behavior becomes persistent and of concern, the family is encouraged to be part of the intervention team, which creates the behavior support plan. The National Center for Health Statistics in 2013 reported that between 2002 and 2011, the percentage of children with serious emotional and behavioral difficulties remained at about 5%. In 2011, the percentage of children with serious difficulties was twice as high among those from single mother families, about 8%, than those from the two-parent families, which was 4%. This information tells us that we need to be sure that we reach out to all of our families who are enrolled in our program. In particular, be sure that we're reaching out to our families who may not have additional time during drop-off, pickup, and or who are not available to attend trainings or meetings. I'm speaking of the single-parent households or the parents who both are working two full-time jobs. As an effective workforce and teaching team, we need to come up with strategies to connect with all families. Among the parents of children with serious emotional and behavioral difficulties, 28% reported that their child received special education services. 46% reported that they had contacted a general doctor about their child's difficulties, and 53% reported that they had contacted a mental health professional about their child's difficulties. This information reports that some families are looking for assistance. However, not all families are. Therefore, as early childhood professionals who work with their children on a regular basis, we need to be sure that we're available for families to talk with us. Also, that we know and are familiar with the agencies in our communities that could help families who are in need. For instance, Child Find. It is extremely important that the local Child Find team information is readily available and accessible for each family that is enrolled in our programs and or family child care settings. For more information regarding Child Find, please go to the web address on this slide. The following information on this slide is from a tutorial titled Partnering with Families in Early Childhood Mental Health. Programs that demonstrate and support partnering with families tend to have families that feel more confident and comfortable in supporting their child's development. Also, research shows that when services incorporate practices that promote partnerships with families, outcomes for families and children are improved, including parenting capabilities and positive child behavior and functioning. In the next few slides, I will share strategies that have been effectively used in building healthy and trusting relationships with families. The best advice is to start from the beginning and not to wait until an issue arises. We want to be sure that our communication with family doesn't always include negative information about their child. Maintaining a 5-to-1 ratio of 5 positives to 1 negative is best practice. Building that foundation. Most parents want to be engaged in their child's learning, and many are able to establish and maintain ongoing and productive communication with teachers on a regular basis. As I mentioned earlier, however, some families must deal with challenging circumstances, such as financial difficulties, separation or divorce, health issues, language or cultural differences. These all can complicate the family's ability to reach out or respond to school personnel. Inviting families and parents into your classroom is a simple and effective way to build a relationship. Extend frequent invitations to parents to visit their child's school and spend time in the classroom. Whether the parents are invited as a silent observer or to help with activities such as reading to the group, these visits can be helpful and enjoyable. And think how special it would be for a parent to receive a note from the class of the children thanking them for their visit. If possible, provide home visits in the beginning of the year to get to know the family and their environment. This can include meeting the family at the park or a coffee shop if the family is not comfortable with you visiting their home. If you're not able to do this, sending home a brief questionnaire on what the family enjoys to do together is another option. Bidirectional communication systems is important to establish early in the relationship. This means creating a system for each family on how you will communicate with them and in return, how they'll communicate with you. For instance, some families prefer to receive information via email or text, while other families may feel more comfortable meeting in person. It is important to define how the family will communicate their needs, concerns, and celebrations with you as well. Whether it is on the phone or in a note sent in the child's backpack. Some teachers and parents utilize what's called a back and forth communication notebook for more consistent communication. Make the most of drop-off and pickup. Even though these times can be hectic, don't miss out on opportunities to engage interested parents. Greet them with enthusiasm, and when possible, acknowledge their arrival in a special way. For example, prompt the class by saying, "Look who's here. Let's say hello to Sarah and Mr. Henry." This serves several purposes. It makes Sarah feel welcomed, makes her dad, Mr. Henry, feel more at ease about Sarah being at school, and teaches the children through modeling the importance of greeting and acknowledging others. Communicate frequently with families on a regular basis. Whether in person or through printed materials such as flyers, newsletters, bulletin boards, or online such as school websites, Facebook pages, group or individual emails. Try to make frequent contact with families. And be sure to ask families whether the information being shared is useful and how it can improve, both in terms of content and format. When speaking to parents, be sure to add some specific information about the child's progress. "She is doing fine" is not nearly as satisfying to a parent as "You wouldn't believe how much fun she had creating clay animals the other day." Encourage peer networking among parents. A good way to start building parent networks is creating a parent contact list. Be sure to include teachers, aides, and other relevant school personnel. Eliciting help from a few parent volunteers may be especially helpful, as this will encourage them to take ownership in this activity. Host a variety of special events. Try to plan activities such as informal breakfasts, picnics, and field trips throughout the year. Eliciting ideas for these events from parents may encourage them to be more involved in developing and planning. Be sure to consider whether parents have preferences about when during the day or evening these events should take place. Celebrate achievements through working samples. Create portfolios, scrapbooks, and/or other collections of the children's experiences in the classroom for parents to look at whenever they visit. This can also be accomplished through web-based pages such as Teaching Strategies Gold, Core, and other secure web pages. Send home certificates of accomplishments that their children receive for specific reasons. For example, being the helper of the day, for cleaning up after centers, or being a superstar for sharing a toy with a peer. Involving families. High expectations count, so make sure that parents are aware of the school's high standards for achievement, learning goals, curriculum, and strategies for helping every child be successful. Don't be reluctant to invite parents to become involved in decision-making and planning ways to help the school's community meet these goals. Host parent-teacher conferences at least twice a year, if not more. Format the conference so it's a bidirectional meeting, meaning you provide information to the family and the family provides information to you. Offer or advertise local parent trainings or conferences in the area. This is a way that families can get additional information on child growth and development from other sources, and possibly network with other families. Identify and make useful resources available for families. Some parents will need reassurance and guidance about behavioral management, and some will have concerns about motor skills or language development or other milestones. Try to be prepared to lead parents to these and other types of resources, either through a lending library at the school, through local agencies such as Child Find, or via helpful resources on the web. Starting the conversation. If you have followed the recommended strategies at this point from this webinar, you have most likely established a solid foundation with families who you work with. If one or more children in your classroom are exhibiting challenging behavior, it may be easier to have a conversation about your concerns, or it still may feel a little awkward or uncomfortable. We're hoping that these strategies will help relieve that uncomfortableness. Organize your thoughts before sharing them with parents. It may be a good idea to confer or role play with a colleague before initiating a conference with a parent. Some parents feel that school personnel expect too much or not enough from their child. Some believe that educators are misguided in their understanding on how to best teach or encourage learning, or even discipline. Some teachers, on the other hand, wonder why parents are so protective of their child even when concerns are raised about their progress. However well-intended, sharing concerns about their child's status can be a tension-filled turning point in the parent-teacher relationship and well worth careful planning and retrospect on everyone's part. Communicate strengths first. When communicating with families about their child's social, emotional, and/or academic needs, it is often helpful to frame the conversation about strengths and talents before dealing with areas of concern. This will set a positive tone and help even defensive parents feel as though you appreciate the good in their child. In more cases than not, parents and teachers share the same impressions about strengths and weaknesses. The challenge is often how to initiate the conversation without pointing fingers or placing judgment at anyone about being overly sensitive or unnecessarily concerned. Be a good listener. There is much about the child's home situation and prior educational experience, if any, that can help you make good decisions. As important is the way that we listen to what parents have to say. They often provide much more information than was asked of them and offer cues about whether they need more information about a particular issue and whether they are prepared to hear what you have to say. Describe the behavior. Do not diagnose, label, or guess. As early childhood educators, spend more time with students in different settings, such as center time, circle, outside time, meals, and have multiple opportunities to observe behavior that may not be apparent at home. When concerns arise about a child's behavior, the last thing you want to do is give the impression that you're jumping to conclusions. Be sure not to think diagnosis or label, but rather do everything that you can to gather meaningful information and detailed information that could be helpful to the parents or specialists who may be involved at some point in conducting screenings or targeted evaluations on the child. Collecting information using behavior data sheets can be helpful to document the child's behavior across multiple routines during the day, or track days during the week where the behavior seems to occur more often. Together, you and the parent could look at the patterns and which may be triggering the behavior to occur. Now I'm going to read an example of a teacher explaining to a parent her concerns about their child's behavior. Jared loves playing with cars and often chooses this a free time activity. He enjoys sharing his toys with peers, but I've noticed that right before lunch he seems to get a little moody and sometimes preferring to play alone. At these times, when approached by other children, he tends to ignore them. And on several occasions, I've actually heard him use foul language and even push them away. This behavior can persist until lunchtime, but is rarely seen during the rest of the day. Have you noticed these behaviors at home or during play dates with other peers? I would like to work with you in problem solving this behavior. It is important to allow time for the parents to hear what you've said, feel what you said, think about what you said, and then respond. So using appropriate wait time is helpful. Be sure that parents understand the intention of the conversation and that they are clear on what the behavior of concern is, as well as what the next steps that you're suggesting that are taken. Elicit ideas from the parents about ways that you can provide support for their child. Provide specific information regarding the particular behavior that you're seeing, such as biting, with articles or websites that promote evidence-based practices to help reduce these specific behaviors. The CEFL and PAXI websites have information regarding specific behavioral concerns that can be very helpful to share with families. Now is a great opportunity to take a look at the handouts that are included in this webinar. They are all from the CEFL website. Talking with families about problem behaviors, the do's and don'ts. Teaming with families around positive behavior supports. And positive behavior supports, family questions and answers. These are great tools to use when you're initiating a conversation with a family about challenging behavior, and or if you and the team are considering moving forward to developing a behavior support plan for the child. On this slide, we'll talk about partnering with families and developing behavior support plans for children. As a team, if you're moving forward with the behavior support plan for the child, it is important, very important, to include the family. Invite families to observe the classroom or view a video. For some families, it is helpful for them to witness the behavior to truly understand what's happening in the classroom. Some children will exhibit behaviors school which they do not engage in at home or in the community, or vice versa. A video recording is sometimes more effective since the child's behavior may be altered if the parent is observing in the classroom. Invite the family to be part of the intervention team. When a family is part of the process from the beginning and are encouraged to participate in behavior support plan process from functional analysis to plan implementation, they are more likely to quote-unquote buy in to the support plan and implement the plan to fidelity. In addition, the parents will learn to view behavior as purposeful and may be able to develop support strategies as the child moves to new settings and situations. Families play a pivotal role on the team for many reasons. They know their child's best. They can share their strengths and needs of the child from outside of school and may have developed strategies for at home that can work effectively at school. Please note it is extremely important that all members of the collaborative team feel valued, especially parents. The team should create a shared vision as to what the child's targeted problem behavior is, as well as what is the targeted appropriate behavior that the team would like the child to learn. Open communication is key to quality team facilitation. Whether you are facilitating the behavior team meeting or not, it is good for you to be aware of these qualities. The team leader should promote honest expression, use active listening, and engage dialogue about the process, family staff concerns, and emotions. Each member of the team should have a say in the development of the plan. Using a round-robin approach is often helpful. This allows everyone on the team to have a voice about their observations or thoughts. The team leader should ask the team members to identify the most effective way to communicate in between meetings, whether it's via phone, email, in person, or even snail mail, to ensure that collaboration and information is shared with everyone on the team, as well as creating an action plan for what needs to be accomplished before the next meeting. Schedule meetings to accommodate family schedules so they could participate in the planning meetings. This means that the team may need to meet early in the morning or after school in the afternoons or evenings. If you really value the family being part of the team, you will need to make arrangements to make it easier and more welcoming for them to attend. Develop a modified behavior plan for at home. If individuals implementing the plan feel that the plan is too difficult or doesn't fit within the child's everyday activities, then inconsistencies in implementation may occur. Provide family with data and outcomes on the plan. It's extremely important to keep the communication door open even after the plan is created and implemented. Families should receive updates on how things are going at school and be inquired on how things are going at home. It is important to schedule a follow-up meeting with the team, say 2 to 4 weeks after the plan has been implemented, to review the child's progress. If any changes need to be made to the plan, they can be discussed at this time as a team. And also, very important to remember to celebrate each step towards success. These are common concerns that have been heard from teachers and child care providers. We are hoping that this webinar has given you some ideas on how to prevent these problems from arising with the families that you're working with. If you're faced with a barrier, be sure to spend time on how to develop a detour. Building relationships with family is one of the essential components of the pyramid model and can lead to how successful you may be in addressing challenging behavior and promoting social emotional competence for young children. In conclusion, I'm going to ask you to take this information and put it into action. Practice the new skills that you've learned. Think of a relationship with a family that you've been struggling with. What are the barriers? How can you create detours to these barriers? And then evaluate the new strategies and the effectiveness of building the relationship with the family. The next few slides are additional resources where you can find more information on communicating with families. You also have a handout on these resources and the web addresses. This page has the references that we used in creating this webinar. We thank CEFL and TAXI, the two national centers of the pyramid model, the National Center for Health Statistics, and also we'd like to thank the RTI Action Network. Thank you for viewing the webinar. We hope you received helpful information. Please feel free to contact us with feedback regarding the web-based training. If you are interested in learning more about the Pyramid Plus Center and receiving additional information on state trainings in Colorado, please go to pyramidplus.org, and while you're there, sign up for our free e-newsletter. You can also locate us on Facebook and like us for regular notifications on trainings and events. Thank you again for participating in this webinar.